Tell a story, Nick.
No, because this is gonna end up being the intro. I just know it. Hey, welcome to episode 55 of Front Seat Gamer. I'm Nick. I'm here with Saveun.
Hey, Nick.
And Blake.
Hey.
How's it going, guys?
Good.
Good.
Happy birthday.
What?
Happy birthday.
It's not my birthday. Oh.
It's a podcast birthday.
Yep. Happy birthday podcast.
Yep.
Apparently that was several weeks ago.
Yeah, it was a few weeks ago. I mean, the exact date of when we actually recorded is lost to time, but...
Also, are we going from the unaired, terrible first episode?
Oh, well, I don't even know when we did. I don't know. It's just March in general.
Okay.
It's our birthday month, so let's just have that.
Our podcast is officially at least 2 years old, so that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. What have you guys been playing? I can tell you what I've been playing. Zelda.
Yep.
I've been playing Zelda almost nonstop. I love that game. Last night I finished off all of the shrines. I have like 250 Korok seeds, and I packed up the Wii U and I handed it over to Blake this morning.
Yeah, what are you gonna do now? Just go back to Clash Royale?
I don't know, man. Just sit in a dark room in silence.
How about that Ocarina of Time?
That game's fantastic. I'll probably start playing some Hearthstone because there's a new set coming out.
Is there?
Yep. And we can talk about that in a
I didn't
little
even
bit
know.
as well. Now, Saveun, what have you been doing?
I played a little more Horizon. I'm on my way to Meridian.
Okay.
Just got out of the snowy, mountainy area.
Yeah.
I'm still pretty early in it. I've been messing around with these hunting grounds, getting these what are they, half suns or whatever.
Yeah. So those are like these areas where there's like a challenge, right? Like to complete.
Yeah.
And then it ranks you and gives you a gold or bronze or whatever sun.
Yep. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
And I've done 2 of them, and I just stumbled across my 3rd.
Oh, cool.
So
How many of those are there?
I think there are like 8 of them, according to one of the keepers. Well, after talking to one of them,
Sure.
they're just like scattered across the land.
So those hunting grounds, are you doing them just to get those suns, or is it's actually fun to do?
It is kind of fun.
Yeah.
I was talking to Ryan about it. He had some tips, and so I went back and it's a really good way of grinding for
that's one of the things he said as well. Is like, yeah, it's a great way to get get blazed.
So some canisters. So I killed a lot of time.
Okay.
Doing a bunch of that.
Is it fun?
I'm still only like 20 hours in. Yeah, it's pretty fun. That game's enjoyable.
Okay.
So whenever I have some downtime,
Yeah.
just going around and foraging is pretty cool.
Yeah, dude, I really like it. Like I've been playing it as well. Bought a PlayStation. That was pretty cool.
Finally,
dude, I haven't bought
first console and
I haven't bought a console since the original Xbox.
jeez.
And I bought that for Fable. I got Molyneux.
Man, that must have been a disappointing
Yep.
purchase.
I got real Molyneux.
Oh, man.
Whole console for that.
The original Xbox had some pretty good games, though.
Yeah,
Like,
it did. I
it had
played some cool
Halos.
stuff on it. Yeah.
I think it had Rally Sport.
Oh,
That
man.
was a
It
good one.
had
Yes.
Jade Empire. I remember playing that on there.
It had Morrowind, but it took like a good 5 minutes for it to load in the area.
God.
It was like,
Yeah, I never played
Awful.
Morrowind on that.
yeah, you dodged a bullet. I
Yeah.
mean, that game's still fantastic, but the load, you'd go into one of those little like barrows or whatever, and you'd just
It'd take
watch the loading
forever.
screen for longer than you'd actually be in there.
Ooh.
It was bad.
But yeah, playing Horizon. I totally forgot the point I was about to make because we just like derailed about Morrowind.
Man,
Let's talk about Morrowind. Okay, so you've been playing Horizon.
Yeah.
How many hours do you think you've put in?
I put in, I think, around 13.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when did you pick it up?
Last weekend.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's a reasonable amount of playtime. I
Yeah.
think my equivalent at this point, I would have put in about 25 or more hours on Zelda.
Oh, okay.
In the first week.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You're trying to say Zelda's a better game.
So based on
I'm more
playtime,
saying that like I went real hard
Yeah.
on that game.
I
and
thought I was going pretty hard on Horizon.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool. Like you were talking about like it's fun to just forage for stuff, right? And I really like how you look at something you want to craft and you're like, oh, I need I don't know, like 5 blaze canisters or something. So you actively have to go out and find the thing that has those, and then you have to think, what's the most efficient way of killing these guys without spending too much of the resource I need to get from them.
Yeah, we kind of covered that.
Yeah, we totally did, but like,
but isn't it?
It's true.
Fun?
That aspect of it is fucking great.
Yep. Yeah, I think that balance is really good. But what's annoying is I spent maybe 2 hours one night just doing this one hunting ground.
Oh yeah.
And by the end of it, I was like, "Holy shit! I have no resources right now. I'm gonna have to like start foraging for the next like couple hours." And that was sort of, I didn't really want to do that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now,
just because I used a lot of resources in the hunting ground.
Is that using up
everything?
Everything.
Yeah, I was just using like rope. What is that? What are they? Tie casters and.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you really needed to craft everything.
Shock stuff. Yeah. It was a lot of stuff. It had a lot of bellowbacks.
Yeah.
The dragon-looking things.
Oh, dude, those things are. I'm afraid of those.
Yeah, I was avoiding them until I was like, wait a minute, these guys are the hunting grounds.
Oh shit.
And yeah, they're just not fun.
So, what kind of resources do you have to gather to take on those dudes?
Sticks.
Yeah, you need to gather a lot of sticks.
Yeah.
There's plenty of sticks
are good
though,
for bows
and rocks.
Okay.
Shards.
Shards of what?
I think they're a currency actually.
Okay.
Oh yeah, they're I'm guessing they're just metal.
Okay. Interesting.
Like metal shards.
But yeah, there's a whole bunch of resources. You get like fatty meat, stuff like that.
Yep.
And then you've got these resources. Let's say here's a question for both of you. You've got your inventory. How many individual resources do you think you have right now? Like, as in, how many different types of resource?
It splits across a couple of things. You have, what are they, like power-ups and stuff too? Like resources? Maybe like 70, 75.
It's quite a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. And the thing I found was that you need to... One of the first things I've been upgrading is my resource pouch because you just run out of room when you're carrying so much. And the way they display it is that I had I think like 30 spaces, and so I would click on some dinosaur corpse to loot, and it would say like 30 out of 30. So I'll be like, oh, I've already got like 30 of these resources, when actually what it's saying is that you have no room because you've used 30 spaces out of 30.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I had particularly had a mission to get boar hide.
Yeah.
And every boar I looted, it said 30 out of 30. And I was like, I've got heaps. Like, why is it telling me that this is wrong?
Right.
That I don't have any. And then I looked and realized it was because those 30 resource spaces were filled.
Right.
And none of them were of boar hide.
Wow. Now, Zelda has a lot of resources as well.
Yeah.
In Zelda, though, there's no limit to the number of resources you can carry around, as far as I can tell. At least I haven't hit a limit. There are limitations on weapons and shields and bows, and there are actually even limitations on how much cooked food you can recipe items you can things you've created you can carry around. But like, I probably had more than 100 different resources, and I had some of those resources. I had like 150 of them.
Yeah.
So how does it in Horizon? You've got your 30 inventory slots. Is that like 30 individual things, or is that 30 stackable?
No, that
things?
seems to be 30 stackable things.
Okay. Are there like stack size limits?
I actually don't know because I don't look at my resource like inventory very often.
Right.
So I don't know if things are split off into how many stacks, but I know I've got like something like 500 and something twigs. And I don't know if that's using up more than one resource slot.
It's a lot of twigs.
Yeah, that's a lot of twigs. Well, you need them for crafting bows, like arrows and stuff. You need them twigs are a cornerstone of the economy in that game.
Twigs are resources one.
Yeah.
That's where everything builds up from.
Dude, that's like you, like right at the start. You during the tutorial, you're taught to harvest twigs.
Well, is it fun to harvest twigs?
Well, it's not fun, but it's fast.
Okay.
It's just like one click,
Right.
and you get them.
Are they just on the ground, or do you have
No,
to?
they're actually like they do a really good job of clearly displaying what the resources are, like for the plants.
Yeah.
So the twigs are always these like spindly little trees that don't have any branches on them.
Okay.
A very twiggy tree.
Right.
So you're like, there's some good twigs.
That's some good twigs.
Yeah, and all the health herbs are red.
Okay.
And there are other herbs that do other things for making like potions, and they're
Right.
different colors. Like there's one that's like resistance against like freezing or something, and I think that's white or something. I can't remember because I don't really use them. But yeah, they do a good job of like displaying what's what, and so you're walking along and you see they also highlight when stuff is lootable.
Yeah.
So you see these lootable things, and you're like, I don't need that, but this one here, I know that's a twig, so I'm gonna need that. And it only takes a second to harvest it anyway. It's not like it's not like Minecraft where you're punching a tree for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
They'll also do that thing where if it's an uncommon resource, it'll be like a green icon or a different colored icon.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
much
actually
like,
been really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think we do that a whole bunch in Path of Exile.
Yeah, we have different. Yeah, we have color.
Which is
colors to the
great.
Rarities. Yeah, it definitely helps you feel good when you found something rare.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's quite striking the similarities between. Now I haven't played Horizon, and I know that the gameplay itself is probably quite different to Zelda, but in terms of the systems, it sounds like there are quite a lot of striking similarities.
Mm-hmm.
Is that just open world in general? Like there are a lot of like I was seeing a lot of similarities between this and The Witcher as well.
Okay. Now I haven't played The Witcher either. My like last really deep experience with an open world game was Skyrim, which is quite a while ago. That was 2011. So
I mean, you're harvesting stuff in Skyrim, so
yes,
there you go.
but it's in Skyrim. It feels very different because everything's other than like insects that are flying around, things are containers.
Yeah, everything is a
It's
container.
like you go over to a rock that has ore sticking out of it, and you click on, and you've got the ore container, and you take the ore out of the ore container.
Well, I mean, Horizon is pretty similar with its monsters. Like you kill a monster, you go over to it to loot it, and it comes up with a menu
With
of
the
the
UI,
things.
okay.
And even the icon to show that it's lootable is a little like chest thing.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Now for the listeners, I've just lent you my Wii U.
Yeah,
And we set up your account.
it's made by me.
Yep. We made Blake. He's gonna start playing that hopefully in the next couple weeks.
Yep.
I'm very curious to hear what you think of it.
Yeah,
I'm also very excited because that game's just so much fun.
it's it's tough because like I'm really enjoying Horizon a lot.
Now this
like,
is something I'm thinking about. Like, I don't want you to like feel pressured to rush through it.
right.
But you have 1 hour.
But yeah, but also you'll probably want your Wii back at some point.
I do probably. I figured maybe we give you like a month or so.
Okay. Oh, that's good.
Maybe,
Yeah.
Maybe a little less if you.
Yeah.
Squeeze it in. But yeah, it's interesting the similarities and the minor differences, especially in just the way you collect resources in Zelda. When you kill enemies, they sort of, for lack of a better term, sort of burn up and leave resources on the ground that you can then just pick up, which is it takes no time at all. You just like tap the button for each resource nearby.
It also gives you. It's also you can see what you want to pick up and what you don't want to pick up, right?
Well, the thing is, there's no cost to picking any of it up.
Oh, okay.
With the exception of weapons.
Yeah.
Because you've got limited weapon room, you may not want to pick up a weapon.
Okay.
But everything else, because it's unlimited space, you just grab it.
Okay.
Because there's no cost to taking
Yeah.
it. What's interesting though is the difference between having those items in a container versus just in the world is important in Zelda because objects in the world are interactable. So like you kill earlier on, I was showing Blake a little bit of gameplay, and there were these blue jelly looking things. They're called choo-choos, and they're one of the features of them is they react with the elements. So if they get like struck by lightning or whatever, they'll sort of change. And what you get out of killing them also changes based on how they've reacted to elements. If you used a fire sword, for example, to kill them, you'll get red choo-choo jelly,
right,
as opposed to just choo-choo jelly.
Oh, so that's like that video we saw of the guy that killed the cow, and he got
some cooked steak.
Yeah, some cooked steak out of it.
Yeah, because he killed it with fire.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I bring this up is because when those red choo-choo jellies are in the world, they're interactable. If you shoot it with an arrow, it'll explode and deal fire damage to stuff that's nearby. And so it's
that's cool.
The difference, the fact that it's not in a container can actually influence what happens in the course of a fight. If you've just killed a choo-choo and there's a bunch of other monsters around, you may consider, rather than picking that up, I'm gonna shoot it with an arrow and try and blast the other nearby dudes with it. So I that's one little sort of interesting follow up mechanic, I guess. It's like as a result of how objects are presented, things can change.
I think it's cool that Zelda makes everything seem like it's very physically. It's very physical.
It's part of the world.
Yeah, it's all like part of the world. Like you're talking last week about cooking and how you had to physically put stuff in a pot.
You grab the items and you're holding them in your hands, and then you walk over to the pot and you drop them in basically.
Whereas in Horizon, it's just like a menu thing, and you hold the button for a while, and then you made the thing.
Now, I love Zelda. I've been playing it like crazy. The cooking can become frustrating because of that, because there's like an extra task involved. In cooking stuff. Like you go to your menu, you select the items you want to hold, and then you exit the menu and you cook it. So that's I kind of wish that there were a more streamlined way of handling that, but then you'd also lose some of the interesting alternate cooking methods that you have.
Right.
Like if you accidentally light a fire on the ground, you can throw meat on the fire.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Or even if you find, like, if you're in a cold area and there's like a little puddle, you can drop stuff in that and it'll like freeze or whatever.
Oh, wow.
And so there's like different interactions you can have. This based on the fact that it all happens in the world. But it does mean that when you've got your resources and you're preparing for like a fight or whatever, and you're just trying to blow through all your ingredients to cook to prepare yourself, it takes a while.
Right.
Can you, Nick?
Yeah.
Now, everything's kind of living in the Zelda world.
Yeah.
Can you make like a nice casserole and leave it outside of this cave entrance, and then use it as bait to attract a monster, and then do monsters eat in that game?
Yeah, that's a good point.
They do.
Do they?
Yes.
Do they get the bonus from that food?
Let me tell you. I don't know that they get actually, I don't know. I actually really don't know. I'll tell you what happened though. This was one of my first moments in Zelda. I got off of the tutorial area thing. I just sailed down. I see a horse, and so I jump and I try and like sneak up on the horse, and I jump on it and I tame it, and now I'm riding it around. And I see this giant moblin guy. He's like a sort of mid-tier difficulty dude, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. I might stay away from that. But I also see a fox, and I went, oh, that's cool, a fox. So I start chasing it, and I shoot it with an arrow, and the fox dies, and the moblin runs over, grabs the meat, and starts eating it.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, well, and then he sees me and starts chasing after me.
That is cool.
That was like one of my first moments in the broader world was
That's
seeing
cool.
that play out. Like, and in fact, sometimes they give you these gameplay tips between areas. If you're going from like the world into a shrine or whatever, there's a load screen, and they'll give you tips, and they'll tell you things like Lizafos are carnivorous, so they'll eat meat, fish, and insects. And so that's just a thing you learn, and that can influence how you like encounter a battle. Like you see a bunch of Lizafos, you might throw a fish out and see if.
I have a question. Can you make poison food?
That's a good question. I haven't. I don't think so. In fact, I don't think you can drop cooked food.
Oh, right.
Once it's in your inventory, there's never food is never bad for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's only like less good than it could have been.
Right.
Like if I take some nice meat and I throw in some bug bits and a monster horn, I'll get dubious food as the result, and it'll heal me for less than just like the plain meat probably would have.
Yep. Okay.
But it'll still heal me.
Okay. So this might be a good time to inject a question from the listener.
Yeah.
Which you have there.
Yes. This is
because I was thinking that you talking about how everything is very it's all in the world, right?
Yeah.
So, does that feel jarring then that you're going into the menu and pausing the whole game constantly to switch weapons?
Right.
Which is like kind of what they're talking about in that question.
Yeah. So it depends. The menu's pretty quick. It's on the D-pad. You press like the right arrow or whatever, and your sort of sliding weapon menu pops up, and you can really quickly select whatever weapon you want, and you'll switch to it. But and it pauses time while that's happening. And I will often do this several times in any given battle, especially large scale battles, because I might decide, oh, this guy's got like a long range weapon. I need my shield for this. So I'll switch to my one-handed weapon. Or this guy is just carrying around a bone or whatever. I'll switch to my spear because I can outrange him. So I am regularly making weapon choices based on what the battle calls for. And I didn't find that obtrusive, but I can definitely see that some people might. If you are looking for like a super fast pace, like Devil May Cry style, you just jump from enemy to enemy and you're constantly fighting and nothing's really stopping you, then that's not what you're going to get.
Horizon does a thing when you switch weapons. It doesn't pause, but it slows down time so much that it's almost paused. But if you take too long, like something would hit you if it was charging towards you.
Yeah. No, this straight up freezes time.
Yeah.
There is a time slowing element based on like shooting in the air. Stuff slows down while you're shooting in the air.
Okay.
Which is kind of neat, and it comes into play reasonably often. So that's.
And can you abuse it like you can in Horizon? You just keep jumping in the air and slowing down time.
I don't think so, because it uses up stamina.
Oh, okay.
While you're doing it,
That's
which
nice.
is an interesting balance mechanism. Is if you're, for example, using your stamina to glide down to an area, and then you see something you want to shoot from the air, shooting it from the air may mean that you then run out of stamina before you reach your destination, because it uses up stamina quite a lot more quickly.
Right.
Stamina in that game is just so well handled, in my opinion. Just love that game. Let's talk about some Horizon, though. I keep swinging it back to Zelda.
Well, they're two big games that came out at the same time. They're going to get compared, even though they're different.
Well, the thing is, they are different, but they also have a lot of resemblances. It just even in terms of theme, they are both sort of post-technology societies that are dealing with the fallout from a previous age.
Yeah,
you know.
In Horizon, I really like that they're not aware of the apocalypse.
Okay.
Like the tribes people that you're part of, this is just how they've always been, and it's always been like that forever. And there was a part where this ain't a spoiler, don't worry about it. There's a part where you're walking through a village and you see an old lady basically like telling their oral traditions or their oral like history, and you can sit down and just listen. And I just sat down for like 10 minutes and like listened to it, and she's talking about how like, oh, in the beginning they were the humans and the machines and the animals, and we all lived together in harmony, and then one group of humans like wanted to use the machines for nefarious reasons or whatever. And I'm sitting there thinking like, that's not the world.
Right.
Like, that's not what happened, but this is
their belief of what happened.
Yeah, their belief of how it's always been.
They're the unreliable narrator.
Yeah, they totally are.
Yeah.
And it's such a weird place, I think, for the player to be in, because the character doesn't know this. The player knows that there was an apocalypse. And like walking around and like looking at like rusted out tanks and rusted out school buses and stuff, the player knows what those are.
Yeah.
But the character doesn't.
Right. Interesting. That's cool.
Yeah, and I just like that. You know, they had their own culture that
their own
wasn't.
mythology to
Yeah.
explain what was around the world. That you can see how they maybe arrived to that conclusion, but
Yeah.
you, as someone who knows what those objects are, know
Yeah.
that they're wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's neat. You've been playing quite a lot of it as well, Saveun, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Now,
But remember, I've been goofing around.
yeah, you've been goofing around. Blake sounds like he's been sort of following the story a little more. What made you not follow the story?
I got a mission, a main storyline mission, which said go to Meridian, and it was all the way over on the left side of the map.
Yep.
And I just stocked up on some map locations, and I just looked through my side quests and stuff, and saw, shit, I hadn't done any of it. And also Ryan was throwing down challenges of like, you want to hit up these hunting grounds. And
Yeah,
so,
he said the same thing to me, but I was like, I can't be bothered.
yeah. Well, I just looked through and I was like, yeah, okay, I'll check it out. And it was a good waste of time.
Yeah.
But I am slowly making my way to Meridian.
Okay.
That's the thing. Like, so am I. I'm not just following the main story, but it does have that thing of that Skyrim had, where it's like your main thing is to go to a location that's on the other side of the map, basically, and you're free to get into as many side adventures as you want along the way.
Yeah, interesting.
The map's starting to open up. I got out of the snow-capped mountain area.
Yeah.
Looked into the distance and saw massive flying eagles.
Oh,
I was
what?
like,
Holy crap!
and I was like, shit. The actual environment looks more barren.
Okay.
Like it actually looks more threatening.
Jesus.
And you know, the first two monsters that I see, the robot dinosaur monsters.
Yeah.
It's a massive flying eagle just circling around, and these huge bulls, which are, you've got the longhorn things.
Yeah.
What are they called?
The
Broadhorns.
Yeah, the rideable ones.
Yeah, and there are these other things called tramplers, I think, and they are huge. They look like 3 times larger than that thing.
Jesus.
And they're just hanging out.
Oh man. See, I thought I was doing pretty good because I'd gotten good at stealth killing stuff in like one shot.
Yep.
But I still stay away from the big stuff.
Yep.
So if there's just more big stuff like coming up, I'm gonna have to change how I play.
When I look at the monsters that I haven't discovered yet,
yeah,
my entire bottom row is pretty much blank.
Oh shit. Yeah, actually, yeah, same.
So there's a lot of shit there.
I actually had a question because all I've really seen of Horizon is like the E3 demos and a little bit of Blake playing today, and like obviously you guys have been talking about it and people at work talk about it. But one thing I haven't really heard very much about it at all is like how advancement and progression is handled. Now, earlier you mentioned Blake was level 16. So is that like there's like experience? Is that?
Yep. You gain levels. It's one of those exponential scales.
Okay.
You get skill points for each level that you go up. You get more health and whatever.
Okay.
As you level up as well. That's pretty much it. And there's a small basic ass skill tree.
Right. So with the Elder Scrolls games, you have level ups as well. It's not quite the same like experience bar structure system, but your level can influence. Obviously, you get stronger, but you also it can mean you face tougher enemies, regardless of where you are in the world.
Yep.
And that's part of how they handle keeping the game challenging throughout like your time. Is they'll introduce, you start off and you have like bandits in no armor and they're using crappy weapons, and then by the time you finish the story, they're all wearing like dragon bone or glass armor or whatever it is, and they're using high level spells and all sorts of stuff. Is that how does Horizon handle that situation?
I think it's just like the further you travel in the map, the harder enemies you find. Like it sounds like that. Like it definitely is, because even the small area that I've been in, which is still pretty much the beginning area, I'm starting to see stuff that's actually big and I'm afraid of and don't want to tangle with unless I've got a really good plan of dealing with it.
But also you could go into battles underestimating the enemy, like just simple enemies,
Right?
and you could be caught off guard. And do you know what I mean? Like, yes, the game has that scale towards enemies just being more difficult.
Yeah.
But they also have a thing. The gameplay is designed quite well, where you could just be unprepared, and
Right.
they could catch you off guard.
Okay.
And that could screw you.
As in, like, you think you're in a safe area, and then something swoops down from above, and now you're in a fight.
Well, you like see a watcher, and you're like, oh, it's just one watcher. Take it out, miss. It starts calling for other watchers, and then you're just you're getting wrecked
Interesting.
by these like the lowest level.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like those watchers are like the lowest level robot dinosaur.
Yep.
And after a while, they start off quite threatening because they're you don't know how to handle them. But then after a while, you're just like, I'm just one-shotting these guys. It's fine. And then you start to become overconfident, and the game will punish you for it if you just if you don't think too much about what you're doing.
Yeah.
There was a mission I did recently where I had to take out some enemy camps, and these were humans, and there were 3 camps, and I'd taken out 2 of them stealthily, so that nobody knew I was there, and I was like, this is easy. I'm just gonna fucking roll over the 3rd one. Ran in there, and I saw some explosive barrels. I shot them. Everything went to hell. Dinosaurs that I didn't know were there, which were under control of the guys, of these enemies, showed up, started wrecking me. Like, it was a complete disaster, and it was all because I was just overconfident and thought that I was like...
You got careless.
Yeah. When I should have just been as cautious as I was before and
right.
gone in there.
Huh. That's cool. Now, one of the questions we were sent was about the way Zelda saves.
Right.
I'll really briefly answer that. They've got auto-saving really frequently. When you enter a new area, or when you like open a chest or find almost anything that like in some way progresses your character, or you do something that's positive, the game will auto-save. And that means that like when you inevitably come up against something that kills you, or if you fall off a cliff or whatever, you don't really lose that much progress. But then you've also got your ability to manually save, which makes that really simple. And the real question was like, what happens if you've used a bunch of items in your inventory between the autosave and your death? Where do those items go? And then they just come back. I think it goes back to whatever state it was when the game saved. There might be some exceptions with like buffs that you have on you at the time.
Okay.
I don't fully remember.
So it's just a reload. It's not a respawn. It's just
pretty much.
You just reload from the last save point.
Pretty much, yeah. So, but in Horizon, is it how is that checkpointing handled?
I think it's basically the same. Like, you don't respawn anywhere. You don't wake up in like a hospital or anything. You just reload from your last save point.
Okay. How does it save regularly?
Yeah, it seems to auto save kind of regularly.
I'd say so.
Yeah, it's almost before almost any major encounter that you go into.
Okay.
But they've also got these campfires all over the place.
Right.
Which is where you can quick save and manually save. So
you have to be at a specific place to manually save?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, that's does that now? I mean, a lot of games use the sort of save point system.
Yeah,
especially older games like Final Fantasy VII is the one I always think of. And it was used to make sure that you had a good place to restart.
Yeah,
when you often you'd find a save point just before a boss.
Yep.
But it also meant that like there was a base level of challenge involved. Like you couldn't just roll through a dungeon auto saving after every single enemy. Like I used to play like Elder Scrolls game like Morrowind
save all,
with like
all the way.
F5 or whatever directly under my finger at all times.
After every you go through every room. F5 here.
Yeah, pretty much. Doom, for example, Doom 3, I think, really suffered because of the ability to just autosave whenever you wanted. So it's interesting that they went with a save point system. Do you feel like?
Well, they went with a save point and with autosave.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm not sure why they decide to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Because in Witcher, you can just save wherever you want.
Right.
Um,
Do you find that you ever encounter you ever in a fight where you think to yourself, oh, I really don't want to lose here because my last save point or whatever, or I think it's gonna put me back really far away.
yeah, sometimes, but they seem pretty good so far with where their where those save points are.
Sure.
And their autosave seems to be really good. That if you did die in an encounter, you'd reload just before that encounter.
Right. That's pretty good.
And that seems to happen even just out in the wild as well. Like you just walk into an area, there's a bunch of tough dinosaurs there, and you get killed. It'll reload you just before you enter that area.
Nice.
Like it seems to have on the map. You can clearly see like it shows you where certain dinosaurs are, and it's almost as if like when you walk into that area, it autosaves somewhere.
Uh-huh. Cool.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just guessing.
Sure.
Because I've only died like a few times and had to be reloaded, and it was always just before whatever the encounter was.
Right. So,
Yeah.
is there anything else you wanted to mention about Horizon before we move on?
I'm gonna say how much it's like The Witcher.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about that.
It's so much like The Witcher. It's crazy. It's so much like The Witcher, except in a way more fun. I think like Horizon has. I think Horizon is a real stealth game.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's really heavy on the stealth. You do more damage for stealth kills. There's tall grass to hide in everywhere, which is really nicely signposted because it's always got like this red sort of flowery stuff on top, and you can always tell from a distance I can hide in that grass, and it's great. But some of its like quests are almost exactly taken from The Witcher.
Can you give me an example?
Really?
Yeah, exactly. Like she has this thing that she is called a focus, which is just like an augmented reality thing.
Yeah.
And it shows, it highlights the like any enemies around and points of interest and stuff like that. But there are missions where you'll walk up to somewhere and there'll be some blood on the ground or something.
Sure.
And you'll turn on your focus, and she'll invest, and a prompt will come up to investigate it. That is exactly what things that happen in The Witcher.
Right.
Right. And you'll investigate it, and then you'll go into your focus, and then you'll be able to follow a path using the focus, which is exactly like using your Witcher sense and following a path in The Witcher, and it'll lead you to another point of interest and to investigate, and she'll say some stuff and be like, oh, it looks like there was a... Or she'll pull an arrow out of a thing and be like, oh, this looks like a Nora arrow. There must be some things. Oh, there must be some tracks around. Go into the focus, follow those tracks. That's exactly like the stuff that happens in The Witcher, where he's like, oh, it looks like a werewolf has been here. We'll have to... Oh, there's a blood trail. I'll follow it with my Witcher sense. And yeah, it's exactly the same. It's amazing.
I feel down about that.
Yeah. Well, it's
Why?
funny. It's funny because you were basically calling Witcher quests fetch quests,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, pretty much.
And how do you feel about the quests in Horizon?
They're okay.
There's fetch quests. There's basically fetch quests,
There's
right?
some actual fanboying going on from my end. I like Gorilla. I like what they make. So that's going on. But man, The Witcher. I think I just hate that Gerald guy. But dude, how is killing animals and stuff in The Witcher?
In The Witcher, well, that's the
You
thing.
like compare that. To,
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like the encounters in The Witcher are just in general, like in the environment when it's not like a major monster fight, they're pretty lame. You're just like slashing your sword around. You still want to like react differently to different enemy types, and you might want to use different like spells and stuff on them.
Yep.
But that's as far as it goes. Like, whereas like in Horizon, you need to you kind of every encounter you're planning out what you're gonna do.
Yep.
You know, you're looking at their pathing, because you can use the focus to see where enemies path, and you can lay traps and things like that, and how to deal with them. Even, you know, and that goes exactly the same for the big guys as well. Like
Yep.
you're just planting more traps and trying to come up with like more ways of luring it into a certain spot and stuff
Sure.
like that. Whereas in The Witcher, you're going against the big guys. It's really just what potion is going to work best with this, what spell is going to work best with this,
Right.
and then I'm just going to hit it a bunch of times,
Okay.
and it'll die.
Interesting.
Actually,
I had a question about the tracking.
yeah.
Let's say you come across the thing that lets you track.
Yeah.
If you didn't use the tracking, would you be able to see all of the evidence that she's talking about?
So in one case, there was like for sure, like you could clearly see a blood trail, but it wasn't exactly noticeable unless it was pointed out to you.
Right.
And then you're like, oh yeah, there are blood splats here, you know.
Okay.
But they might be kind of further apart, whereas the tracker just has a kind of continuous line, you know.
Sure.
I noticed that with The Witcher as well. Like, you can actually see the blood that he's tracking. Footprints are another thing. Like, you don't always see the footprints that he's supposedly tracking.
Right. Okay.
Depending on what surfaces. Like, he'll be tracking it through tall grass, and like, I can't see any footprints through here. This is crazy.
Sure.
You know, but going through like, you know, some mud or something, you'll clearly see. And if it's a monster he's tracking, it's clearly a monster footprint because they want to highlight there's a fucking monster coming up. Get ready.
Do you feel like they could have just left that up to you? Because Zelda does not often spell things out for you.
Yeah.
And I was one of the things I quite enjoyed about it was they would give you just enough to put the puzzle together.
Okay. Yeah, it would, like, I do like that idea of like of seeing the blood trail yourself, or even just giving the hint of investigating it and then her saying to herself, there's blood. I wonder if I'll see if there's a trail, or I'll follow a trail, and then you have to physically look for it instead of just clicking on the thing and then automatically knowing where it is.
Yeah.
It's like that thing I was saying in Dishonored, right, where I turned off all the quest tracking because it did such a good job of signposting you through environment stuff of where things were, and that was far more interesting than just following from one point to another because the HUD was telling me to.
Gotcha.
But I wonder if that would just get annoying in the game.
I would find it annoying.
Yeah.
I kind of don't care about these missions.
Yeah.
And so I want to just tell me where to go.
So you just do it, and you're just
Kill
like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I would probably get annoyed.
Because it's
depending
also
on how well they do that.
Yeah.
You know, the blood spatter.
I mean, they could really signpost the blood and be like, look at this fucking river of blood that you have to follow.
Yeah.
But also, like, that is not really the game is not tracking. It's not a tracking game.
Yep.
Sure.
So you're not hunting stuff down based on blood splats or like footprints or anything.
Okay.
So those missions are just sort of I don't know, kind of off to the side kind of thing. You know, they're just not something that you really think too much about. Whereas like the real tracking comes from like deciding how you're going to sneak up on something that you've seen, you know.
Right. You're figuring out your path of attack.
Yeah. Like that's the real sort of hunting type thing. It's not really the tracking stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Those encounters are really, really fun. I used to just roll in there, you know, with my spear.
Yeah. Did you get wasted?
Yeah, I would. But now I'm laying down traps in front of me, and so when enemies charged, you know, this freaking trap is just taking them out right in front of me, and then I can just run up to it and stab the thing. And you'll actually, well, I'll go into my notebook often, have a look at what this dinosaur is vulnerable to, and how and where to find, you know, its blaze canisters or whatever. Because the cool thing about blaze canisters is when you take them out with fire, it'll actually explode on top of the thing.
Right.
And
blaze, I assume, is like gasoline or something.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so it'll explode, and on certain dinosaurs, they'll take out other ones. So you can kind of like weaken them.
Right.
Set one off, and then it just makes this massive chain reaction.
That's cool.
One of my favorite things to do is like sneak up on a bunch of those guys that have the blaze canisters, and you can usually I can get 3 shots off before any of them have actually really noticed.
Nice.
So you shoot their 3 3 animals blaze canisters, and then one by one they all explode, and then the entire herd is just taken out, and you just stroll out there and like take all this stuff. It's
Awesome.
great.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a seriously good game. Like I'm actually finding it a more fun stealth game than Dishonored.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well,
Which is kind of funny because like Dishonored is all stealth, but I was thinking that I think it's the third person view that is really like making the stealth thing fun because like you can see more. In Dishonored, I feel like I have such a narrow view that I'll think that like an enemy is on its own and nobody else is seeing it. I'll jump down there, but no, there was somebody else that I didn't see because my view is just so narrow.
Right.
But that third person view, you can see a huge amount, so you get a better sense of what's around you than you do in Dishonored.
yeah. Yeah, I find, even in driving games, I won't play it in view of where the driver is.
Yeah.
I'll usually pull it back.
Yeah, because
Just
it's
so I
so
have,
restricted,
like,
right? You can't.
car awareness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I guess it's just because in a video game you can't really get a good sense of what's all around you like you can in real life.
Yeah,
Like,
you can't literally look behind you.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, there's VR and stuff.
Yeah.
Which does mean you can literally look.
Yeah,
behind
I
you.
mean, a VR stealth game might be a real interesting thing.
Yeah, actually, that might be the best use case for VR
Yeah.
I've heard so far.
'Cause you can actually like peek around corners and
Yeah,
stuff.
that would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd be on board with that.
it's a great game, and you should play it. I should lend you the PlayStation in a little while.
That's the plan. I think
Yeah.
is you're gonna play through it, and then now that we're basically gonna exchange consoles for a little while.
Yep.
And I'll get to play some Horizon. That's gonna be fun. There's one thing I wanted to talk about really briefly. It's completely unrelated to anything else. But do you remember a while ago I talked about Survivor?
Yes. Oh my God, I
As a
remember that.
game
That was
and
like
stuff.
what was that, like 2 years ago?
Oh, wait a
It was
minute.
a while ago.
No.
It was a good while ago. What?
There's a game, there's Survivor?
No.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
actually, there was. When we went to Las Vegas, we found a Survivor slot machine. That was pretty funny. But Survivor's back on.
Yep.
This season,
Back on.
This season's called Game Changers,
Oh, whoa.
and they've been doing some really interesting little twists. For example, in normal Survivor and Tribal Council,
Yep.
if there is a draw, people vote again. Now, what this means is in like a case of like if there's 9 people in a tribe, the majority group can split the vote so that like 2 of people that they want to get out each get 3 votes, and then
Oh
it's
my
a 3-way
God.
tie.
Yeah.
And if anybody played a hidden immunity idol, they now have another opportunity to vote out the other person instead. So it's a safe play.
Okay.
It's a now well developed Survivor strategy.
Huh.
In this round, in this season, if there's a draw, they go to basically they call it drawing rocks. It basically means someone at random is going out, and so like no longer can you do the play it safe strategy.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
On top of that, they had a tribal council last time where they had three tribes, and only one tribe at the immunity challenge got immunity, and then both tribes went to tribal council and together voted one person out.
Oh, wow.
Which it means like you're sort of playing the long game and the short game at the same time. Now, the reason I bring this up is because it made me realize Survivor does these like little mechanics changes every season, and so do we.
No.
We have the same like game model as Survivor. Whenever we do a league, we test out these new mechanics and we try these new things, and then sometimes it stays in the game and sometimes it doesn't, and it's to various degrees. This is exactly what Survivor does. Every season they will try stuff out, and the cool stuff stays around. And that I found very interesting.
Yeah.
Like they've been doing this a lot longer than we have, and it's
Yep.
a model that is very, very successful. For them.
Yeah.
So it's just something I was thinking about. There you go.
So who do you think is going to win this one?
That's a tough one.
Who
to
are the
say.
2 teams, man?
There's 3 teams right now. They went from 2 to 3.
Oh,
Okay.
shit. Oh, dude. It's like Rockstar.
Oh, man.
Three
Yeah.
antagonists.
Holy shit. Yeah, this is the right way to go.
So these are all people who had previously played Survivor.
Mhm.
One of them my personal sort of favorite, I think. Actually, I've got a few favorites. One of them is Michaela, who is like this extreme athlete. She's good at everything, and that makes her a huge threat to everyone. She got taken out in her first season because of that. She's just like an amazing strategist and athlete, and so they just like booted her off like first opportunity.
Like, no, we only want the fattest, laziest, uselessest people.
Those are called goats.
I'd be great at that
Whoa!
game.
They call them goats, and they take them to the end.
Oh,
because they know they can win against them at the final vote.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
that's so.
Do people rock in there being goats?
But being a goat is an interesting strategy.
Yeah.
You can play as a goat because you get taken to the end.
Yeah, how can you play as a goat?
You be basically
Useless.
You act as a subordinate,
Right.
You let someone else
Yeah.
make the decisions, and you go along with them.
Yeah.
And
then-
and you don't really excel in any field until like towards the end when you're like, by the way, this is my whole game plan.
Yeah. By the way, I'm actually.
Does that happen often?
It has happened. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Man, Survivor's so much fun to watch. Probably terrible to play. Anyway, the other one I'm rooting for is Sandra,
Right.
who is the only person to never lose Survivor.
Oh,
She's never been voted off. She has played twice and won twice.
so
And
are these all
No one else-
previous people?
Does she look like a goat? What's
no,
going on there?
she is. I
She's straight
don't.
up goat.
Her strategy is odd.
Yeah.
It seems like in her first 2 seasons, she basically her strategy was, I just don't want to get voted off at every vote. I consider the best way to not get voted off.
Yeah.
And it's not, if it's not her, it doesn't matter who else it is.
Yeah.
And playing like a vote at a time actually went very well for her.
Yeah.
This time she is so aggressive.
Oh shit.
And like she was like, there was like some very strong confrontations and like lots of like shouting and language and like, oh man.
Do you think it's gone to her head though that like she's won twice?
That's a good
So she's
question.
like, I'm fucking
she's
king of
top
this.
dog.
I know what's doing. You should listen to me.
She
I've
keeps
won
saying
twice.
like you can't take down the queen, baby.
See, that's she's making herself a target.
But here's what I wonder if she's making herself intentionally a target.
Yeah.
Because who's gonna let her win the third time, right?
Yeah.
So I mean,
she would already be a target,
because
yeah.
she can't win the third time. There's
Yeah.
no way that's gonna happen. But she's been like sort of talked about as the target of like all 3 votes or whatever so far. And every time she's just like cleanly made it through. And
Wow.
we don't understand how or why. She's just a master
She seems
manipulator.
great.
It's so interesting to watch.
Oh man.
If you don't watch Survivor or if you've never tried watching Survivor, you should try watching Survivor. Because it is a game. It is the most exciting game show, basically.
Yeah.
Is what it is. And it is a game that like fans of games can watch and appreciate the underlying design decisions, like the decision to make these 2 tribes vote one person out has such interesting implications, not just for that vote, but for like all subsequent alliances. And actually, the tribal council where that happened was the craziest one I've ever seen, where they were in the middle of like talking to Jeff, they started like whispering to each other, and then stood up and started like making huddles and like talking. And Jeff's just stopped talking, and they're like, there's people going back and forth between the 2 huddles, giving each other information.
Wow.
We're gonna vote out this person. Oh no, okay, well then we'll vote out this person. Okay, use your idol on this person, and then the person goes, they're using the idol on this person, and like it went on like for 10 minutes. It was amazing.
Are there cross tribe alliances then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Whenever there's like a merge or like a shuffle or whatever,
Oh yeah.
people will like remember their relationships from previous tribes, but now they're in a new tribe and that they're inevitably going to build new relationships.
Yeah.
And so when it comes back to a merge or whatever, it's not really clear where the ties are anymore. You know?
Yep. It is
it's
pretty
so
cool.
interesting.
I used to think how Survivor was just about like stupid games about like diving down and getting buckets of stuff.
Yeah,
and,
it seemed like camp for adults.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like school camp for adults.
But it's not. It's
really not.
Yeah.
That's part of it. The challenges are part of it.
But it seems like the real game is
the game is social.
Yeah,
The challenges are how you keep yourself fed
and
happy, and then how you win the game is almost entirely social.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds pretty great.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
And the social maneuvers people will do where they will intentionally foil their own team's like strategy because it pushes them further in the game or whatever.
Yep.
I could talk about Survivor for ages. You know what? I might talk about Survivor, and I might just like have a Survivor episode.
Yeah.
If you want to hear me talk about Survivor and my thoughts on Survivor, you should email us at frontseatquestions@gmail.com or tweet us at frontseatcast or our Facebook page, facebook.com/frontseatcast. Have you guys got anything else to talk about?
Dave Chappelle's back. He's fantastic. Holy shit. Yep. Blake?
Nah. Nah. We could probably do a couple of quick questions, do you think?
Yeah,
Like
sure.
we've got some stuff piling up.
We've had some questions for a while.
Yeah.
Been a bit lazy about this. More
Well,
like we just had a lot to talk about.
We can
every
read
time.
out the Joe's pizza
Yeah, sure.
recipe.
This is an email we got from Joe. I learned a lot from you guys. It's time to give back. This is Joe's pizza recipe. Number 1, have a slice of pizza. Overnight pizza carton flavor is an added bonus. I assume that means when that pizza has been in its box overnight.
Yep. Yep.
You put number 2, put that slice in a very hot pan for 30 seconds or so. Number 3, flip it over. Another 30 seconds or so on this side as well. Number 4, question marks. Number 5, profit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what, Joe? That's an alright recipe. Here's another one I like. Put 2 pieces of pizza with their tops against each other in a sandwich press.
Dude, we've been talking about that, right?
Yeah.
We got some listener wrote in with that exact thing that I've been wanting to try.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. You tried it?
I've had it before, yeah.
Oh
It's
shit.
pretty good.
You're just telling me this now. What?
Was I meant to update you on all of my
Whoa.
everything I've ever done with a pizza? It's a long list.
What else have you done with the pizza that you're telling me?
Do you really want to hear it all? I've gotten back into like baking it again. You just put it in the oven at a high heat for just like 5 minutes or whatever, and you get some crispness, you get some melty cheese. It's real good.
Has anyone ever tried? I'm putting this out to the listeners.
Yeah.
Deep fryer. I've been talking about wanting to get one.
Yep.
But
You want that
is
USB
that even possible?
powered desk deep fryer, right?
Yeah, I want to just soak it in a deep fryer.
Yeah.
Man.
It's barely at temperature. No, but if anyone has a deep fryer, people tell me not to do it.
We have a deep fryer.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
have you tried this?
I have never
You
tried
should.
deep frying
That sounds like
pizza.
it would be great.
See, I think the bread is probably like the thing that you want to not put in a deep fryer.
That's the problem. It's gonna immediately soak up the oil,
Yep.
and then that oil's gonna cook it from the inside out, and it's just gonna be like a crispy mess.
Yeah, you pull this thing out.
Yeah.
Half the oil will come out with it too.
Yeah.
I
I don't think deep fried pizza will work.
Mm.
What
But you know
about what about
What happens
doing
if
it
you
with?
battered this thing?
Oh.
So I'm thinking more like maybe like a calzone style.
Mm.
That might work, where like it is a sealed pastry
Mm.
with pizza filling, and then you deep fry that or something.
Oh yeah,
That might work.
a whole bunch of cheese on the inside. That's what
Yeah,
you're saying.
cheese and sauce and maybe some meat in there.
Yeah.
Is that okay? At what point does it go from just reheating old pizza to I'm making a new food? I'm making a new dinner here.
Well, here's the real question: is at what point does pizza become something else? Because pizza was originally just flatbread, some sauce, some like oregano,
Right.
and like cheese and some tomatoes or whatever, right? And that was it. But now you've got like meat, and then you've got like seafood, and then there's dessert pizzas, and then there's calzones,
Yep.
which are like folded pizzas.
Mm.
And then
Like-
pineapples got involved somehow.
If you have like, and then there's like stuffed crust, and then like triple crust. There's like all these really crazy things. What happens if you like? At what point does a pizza become a new food? Where's the line?
Omelet. Omelet is basically an egg pizza.
However, there are pizzas with eggs on them, like the
Yep.
Australian.
Yeah.
Aussie
With
style.
eggs on them, yeah, but substitute the bread for. I think when you take that bread away, it's not a pizza.
Aha. There is a low carb pizza recipe where instead of like pizza dough, you use cheese and egg,
Oh shit.
and
that
you make
sounds
the,
good.
you make the base out of basically fried cheese and egg.
Well, there's a gluten-free.
But that's still pizza.
I mean,
So-
there's a gluten-free way of doing it where instead of flour, you're using like mashed up cauliflower to make the base.
Yeah, okay. How does
Yeah.
that hold together?
I don't know. I've never done it. I just heard about it.
I think I have had that.
Yeah.
It's fine. You can also use like mashed up cauliflower as a substitute for rice. I've
Yeah?
heard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you like cauliflower? Either of you?
Yeah.
I can't think of the last time I had cauliflower.
It's like flavorless broccoli.
Yeah.
It's a good conveyor of flavor, though. You can like if you put in a stir fry or whatever, it soaks up that sauce.
Okay.
Yum. Yeah, broccoli does as well.
Mm.
Get that sauce in there.
I'm on that broccoli.
Yeah.
You on the brock?
Yeah, man.
Should we make a food podcast?
We
Email
should-
us.
We should do a food podcast.
Should we make a food podcast? Tweet at us at FrontSeatCast. Just hashtag food. Just that's all you need to tweet at us. Hashtag food.
Hashtag food.
You can also rate us on iTunes. You should tell your friends about us. And you should check out the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network. It's hashtag AGPN on Twitter. Or they've got a Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/AGP Network. They might get a website. We've got a website, frontseatgamer.wordpress.com. And a YouTube channel. Check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Do we now want to answer one more question and then go?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Let's have a look here. This is one that I want to read out. This is from Brian. He says, "Love the podcast. Love PoE. Love you guys, but I have to say Blake is my favorite. Not because he's particularly talented or funny or handsome or smart. He really went.
Is that a compliment then at that point?
But because he sounds exactly like Stephen Merchant. He would love to hear Blake say these lines if it's not too much to ask. He wants to hear. So why don't you start with these? Oh, you've got it in front of you, right?
I've got them here.
Say them.
I'll say a few. Oh, those are the crap turrets, weren't they?
I kind of get where he's coming from. Yeah. Do another one.
And 40 potato batteries. Embarrassing.
I think you could do better. One more.
You can punch it up a little.
Let there be light. That's God. I was quoting God.
Yeah, all right. I'll give you like a 6 out of 10.
So I'm gonna come. So I'm gonna come back at you two here.
Okay.
All right. If I'm the Stephen Merchant of this podcast,
Yeah.
who's the Ricky Gervais of this podcast, and who's the Carl Pilkington of this podcast?
Yeah. Email us.
Nick, why did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us-
yeah.
tell us-
Like, all right.
Tell us who's who.
Well, I was actually asking you two that.
Yeah.
I thought you
I
two
don't want to
would-
decide. That's too much pressure. I want to hear what our fans think. So let us know. And we'll be back in a couple weeks. See ya.
See ya.
Bye. Did you watch Iron Fist?
I don't even know what that is.
That's the new Marvel series?
Yeah.
Is it good?
It's okay.
Is it on the TiVo?
No,
Did you watch
it's on the Netflix.
Did you watch Luke Cage?
Yeah.
I watched Jessica Jones and I really liked it.
Yeah, I really like Jessica Jones as well.
And I didn't watch any of the. I tried watching Daredevil. I think I watched the first 2 episodes and I wasn't a big fan.
Yeah, same. I started watching Daredevil, got like maybe 3 episodes in, and then stopped watching it. And then Jessica Jones came out and I watched all of that.
Yeah.
And then I went back to Daredevil and watched that, and then watched season 2, and now I'm on board for whatever they throw at me.
So how is Luke Cage and Daredevil and Iron Fist compare to Jessica Jones?
I think Jessica Jones is the best one. Iron Fist is definitely the weakest.
Okay.
The Daredevil, both seasons of Daredevil are pretty good. Like, I really liked season 2. Actually, there was season 2 was really cool because the Punisher came into it, right? And he is he's basically he has the same thing of like, we want to get rid of criminals and all that, but
chaotic neutral.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, he'll just kill them. He'll just kill these fools.
Yeah.
Where Daredevil's like, no, we got to lock them up. We got to killing you. It's just as bad as them. And there's this fantastic episode where Daredevil is just basically chained up on a roof, like arguing with Punisher over which is the right way to do things. It's great because you're like, yeah, like I agree with both of them, but then the Punisher is just like, nah, sometimes you just have to,
Yep.
you just have to kill him.
Yep. And what's Daredevil's approach?
And
He
Daredevil
puts
is
them in
like,
jail
you
and
beat
stuff?
him up and you
You
beat him up.
critically.
Yeah, he's like a Batman.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just creating paraplegics left and
Yeah.
right.
He'll ruin lives, but he won't take
but he won't-
lives.
yeah, that's it. Yeah. But no, he's the thing
Oh,
of
what a
like
gentleman.
he's the kind of like you got to leave him for the police kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Punisher's like they'll just get out. You know what you're doing isn't actually solving anything. Like it's short-sighted.
Yep.
You need to get in there and just like shotgun some dudes
Do,
in the
do they
face.
ever explore that, or do they
Yeah.
just leave it there? They
No,
say
they-
their points and then
No, they like that
carry
whole
on.
season is based is around is one of the major subplots is all around those two different philosophies.
Yep.
And
Punisher's right.
yeah, kinda like yeah,
Yeah.
like in
You
the end,
know why he's right though,
Well,
Where are we going with this?
because the bad guys can't complain. The dead bad guys
Yeah.
have no voice anymore.
oh yeah, that's true.
They're silenced
I
completely.
mean, that's true. Yeah. There's this cool thing where I don't want to spoil it for you if you watch it, but early on in that season, because the main bad guy from the last season is out, he's in jail.
Yep.
He got put in jail, whereas Punisher would have just killed him. He's in jail, causing problems.
Yep.
But this other group of they're Irish mobsters, and like this dude comes over from Ireland, and he's like, "You guys you guys have been fucking up. Well, I'm here to like fix it and shit like that." And they're having this meeting about like what they're gonna do, and then fucking the room just gets full of bullets, and it turns out as the Punisher just like was standing outside shooting them all, and it's like that's the end of them. and you thought like these were going to be the new main bad guys for the season. They're like, no, it's not.
Shit. But do they show a thing of like Daredevil crippling a guy, putting him in jail, and then he comes out and he's a good person?
No, of
No?
course not,
That
because that
never
doesn't happen. That doesn't happen.
But that would prove Punisher wrong, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but like, there's like no one, almost hardly anyone is getting reformed here. Like maybe there was like I can't remember exactly, but there might be some people that change their ways. But in general, they go to jail where all the other bad guys are, and they just continue being bad guys.
Yeah.
And then they come out and they're still bad guys.
Yeah. Okay.
But they're all organized together.
Yeah.
Do you wanna listen?
Yep.
Cool.
Man, I don't like these superhero shows.
Jessica Jones was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's her thing?
Was really cool.
What's her deal?
She's basically invulnerable, more or less. Like she just
Like a Wolverine.
Sort
she's,
is similar.
She still gets hurt. She's
Yeah.
just strong, I thought. Because she got shot.
Oh yeah, you're right. No, Luke Cage is the
Yeah,
invulnerable.
Luke Cage
Yeah,
is the
she's-
guy that's
she's
like,
just
strong
really
and
fucking
can't
strong.
get hurt. Yeah.
And what made that show so good is first of all, Jessica Jones and the actress really nails the role in my opinion. She's feisty and
Sassy.
sassy and fun to watch. But the real clincher for me was the villain was extremely compelling in more than one way.
Yeah, he was really good.
Was it Michael Fassbender?
No, it was David Tennant, one of the
Yeah.
doctors, one of the Doctor Who.
Yeah, he
I was
was
close, man.
he was an
Yeah, yeah.
exceptional bad guy.
Yeah, he was, and oh man, and he you had moments where you understood him, his
Yes,
way of doing
when,
things.
When you learn his story,
oh yeah, for
it's
sure.
hard. You start to sort of sympathize with him, but you also you've built up such a hatred for this because he's so malicious.
But you
and
start
powerful.
to sympathize with him, and you think, oh, maybe they should like try and save this guy from his evil ways, and they start trying to do that, but then he's just straight up a monster anyway. So you're like, fuck it. Like, even though I feel bad about what happened to you in the past,
What's his goal, man?
oh, dude, I like his goal is to just hang out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's
that's
not.
That's your goal.
He's got one of the
Wait.
best superpowers. No, he totally has
Who?
one. David Tennant.
No, his goal is not just to hang out.
In general,
he
he's
just wants
just
to be a part of the crew.
No,
I mean,
he-
he ruins lives. Sort of.
yeah, but
I don't want
that's
to
not
spoil
his
it.
goal. He's just
His real goal in the series is to get Jessica Jones.
well, yeah,
back.
that's true. That is his real goal. But with his superpower, he could take over the world
Yes.
kind of thing. But he doesn't. He's just like, I want to live in a flash apartment and have servants.
Apartment.
Yeah.
This fucking
Like
guy.
he just goes up to an apartment and says, "I'm going to live here now," and they're like, "Oh, you're going to live here now."
Yeah.
What?
You
Because
should-
he's got
you should-
that power of
He's got
persuasion?
really high charisma.
Oh shit, man.
Yeah,
Okay.
you should watch that show. That show is worth watching for sure. I don't want to spoil it because that's watching that unfold is so enjoyable.
Yeah, it is really cool.
I tend to pick things apart, and I don't think I like these superhero movies. There's a lot of
Jessica Jones is you could probably pick it apart if you really tried, but it's I had no problem suspending disbelief, which was different to Daredevil. Daredevil, I felt while watching it like this is kind of hokey and kind of
Okay.
It got real bad when he gets the suit because it just looks like a cartoon suit. And
Okay.
Jessica Jones doesn't wear a suit. She's just a badass.
Okay.
It's really worth watching.
Jessica Jones is like probably the realest, I think.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
even
it's
though
really
the
worth
villain is,
watching.
like actually has a crazy superpower, and she's like ultra strong. It's very grounded. I think it doesn't get too. It's not dealing with like Daredevil gets into secret societies and like.
It's not no one.
and shit.
No one has like laser vision. You know,
Okay.
it's all. It's more.
Luke Cage is pretty grounded as well.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Is he like Dwayne the Rock Johnson?